Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which time zone you might be at. Welcome to the 6th Annual Data Summit. My name is June Lopez. I'm the General Manager of Molten Miguel Water District and also one of the founding members of the California Data Collaborative. I want to welcome you and just so excited about having this virtual event. Now, hopefully next year we'll be able to do this in person so we can all be together, but virtual is the next best thing, and I hope you are all doing well. Now, some of you have been with us from the beginning, and some of you are recent members of the Data Collaborative, and some of you are thinking about joining the Data Collaborative. So I want to tell you just a quick little story about how the California Data Collaborative was born 7 years ago. It started with a conversation over lunch between one of my staff members, Drew Atwater, and his brother, Patrick. Now, at the time, this was the height of the historic drought in California. And again, there were a lot of mandates and actions, but not enough data to really inform what decisions and what actions would be in the best interest of California. And this was something that we all said, we need better data. So as we're talking about this and the need to have better decisions, I learned about an effort in New York. So Patrick was sharing with me at the time he was going to NYU and the big data movement that was taking place in New York, and how big data was able to inform decision-making, particularly in the public safety sector, to where response time and the lives saved were benefiting from data. Now, I don't know anything about big data back then, but I knew people. So I thought if we can get smart people from different organizations within and outside of water, a lot of great things could happen. And I thought, how can we access that kind of talent, that kind of vision? So we talked about this and said, well, let's just try it. And so I called 5 GMs of agencies throughout California who I thought would be on board. And fortunately, they were. And that's how it started. It was very much a co-op style. We got staff, very smart staff from those organizations, my organization. We got people from NYU and the circle of brilliance that they have. We brought them all together and they started working together and generating great ideas and tools and putting them on an open platform. Because mind you, a lot of agencies have data, but it's in boxes and files. It's not cleaned, it's not centralized, it's not standardized. Now, back then I didn't know any of this. But by taking that and putting it into a centralized location, we're able to share ideas and really evaluate programs and make better decisions for all Californians. But I did have 2 little ulterior motives about the Data Collaborative. I knew it was going to do great work. I knew it was going to generate a lot of ideas and good decisions. But I also realized that if you bring in people with great minds and great heart, not only can we help our own agencies, but we can help the broader community of California. I don't know about you, but I lived and worked pretty much all parts of California, and I have people that I care about. And I come from agencies that are smaller, and we just don't have the wherewithal. But if we can pull the talent together, our influence, our goodness can be much broader than in our service area. The second motive was developing the future leadership in water. Now, a lot of these people that came on board and working on this, a lot of them are of the younger generation. Now, one of the problems with water is that we have a lot of good ideas, but sometimes the historic baggage or personalities get in the way. So if we can forge new friendship, new relationship amongst these groups, and they rise together respectively in their organizations and in the sector, then we can have a better future for water and all the communities that we serve. And today, that vision and dream that started with a conversation over lunch now represents 21 million Californians. And we stood up as a nonprofit because this was about goodness. This wasn't about making money. And we purposely didn't have the structure of having a board of directors or having these very sort of structured way that we ran the Data Collaborative. Because this is a movement. Because it takes effort of everyone. This is your movement. And we wanted to set a table where there's a place for everyone and where it's inclusive, where it's dynamic. And so we have a steering committee, we have a technical committee, we have people just working together because it's not about power or control, it's about doing good. Now, with all this said, don't get me wrong, it hasn't been rainbows and roses. It hasn't been a smooth ride. We've been criticized, we've been threatened, but we've also been praised and celebrated. See, that's the wonderful thing about taking a stand, doing meaningful work. It's not easy, but it's powerful. And the movement is great because we get to link arms with one another and help each other. When we fall, when we have setback, we dust each other off. When one gets tired, the other one takes the lead. It's a constant rotation where it's not about the individual, but it's about the purpose, the greater purpose. And that is why it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Katie Evans, who is the chair of the steering committee. Now, I insisted on introducing Katie because she is way too modest. There's a lot of things about her she won't tell you. And I'm not going to read a bio. That's boring. I'm going to tell you how I know Katie and how I know I will know Katie in the future. So I met Katie several years ago. You can tell she's talented. You can tell she's brilliant. But most of all, she embodies the qualities that I look for when I hire people. Because it's not enough that you're really smart and brilliant. You got to have a good heart, the desire to do good, to help others. Combination of those two things is the most amazing, incredible thing that I've ever witnessed. And she has that. She won't tell you that. She won't tell you that she's the youngest director at Coachella Valley Water District. She's a director of communication and conservation. So clearly you can tell that she has so much ability, experience, but on top of that, she has a great heart. She won't tell you that her son plays hockey. And, if you ever seen a hockey game, there's a lot of gears and they're not cheap. And there were a lot of other kids in the community who couldn't afford that. So she spearheaded forming the Coachella Valley Youth Hockey Foundation so that other kids could also enjoy the sports. We're all busy. We got lots going on in our lives, personally and professionally. But to extend ourselves beyond ourselves, that's the quality that really sets somebody apart. So Katie is already amazing in her own right. But this is how I will know Katie in the future. She won't just be a general manager. That's a done deal. But she will be a leader among leaders. And she will work with great people like all of you out there. And I want you to connect with each other. I want you to help each other, to rise together, to fall together and get stronger together. Because in the end, big data is about people. It's about you. And it's important that you get to know one another and care for one another. And that's why I'm excited to be part of this event, 6th annual. You're going to see an amazing lineup of people. And we're so happy that Kingdom of Denmark is partnering with us because it's never about doing it alone. It's a lot more exciting, a lot more fun, and a lot more meaningful when we do it together. And so the theme of this conference, Expecting the Unexpected, I can't wait to see what the future holds. And together, it won't be scary. It will be amazing, I promise. And so with that, I'd like to introduce to you Katie Evans.
Thank you so much, June, for that beautiful introduction. That was really nice. I'm a little taken aback, but that all being said, let me just start by welcoming everyone here this morning. I am so glad that you are all here and so excited to share today's conference with you. It has been a joy and a labor of love to plan, and we're really excited to present this to you, not only a really fantastic conference, but on a really fantastic platform. Thank you. Thanks, Tim. So that was just the epitome of virtual conference. Thank you for that, both being muted and then having your cat come in, because I think over the last year and a half or so, we've all experienced either one or maybe both of those moments. So here we still are being virtual, but glad to work through it on this platform with you. And I hope you all enjoy working in remote today. I know it's a lot of fun once you get the hang of it. So today is a big day for us. It has been months of planning, and I want to take a minute to thank our planning team, everybody at Rogue Water, Tim especially, all of the people at the California Data Collaborative, Christopher Tull, who you will be hearing from later today, Sarah, Lori, Thank you to Drew Atwater, Jenna Shimon, Elizabeth Hurst, and everybody over at Molten Nagel, June, Genevieve, Justin, Melissa, Kim, Marina. There's many more, but I'm so grateful for everybody's hard work on this day. It has been, as I mentioned, a labor of love, and we're just so pleased to be able to present this to you today. I also want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. So, should be able to see my screen here. Let me do that. First of all, our gold sponsors, Coachella Valley Water District, Molten Nagel Water District, Cordoba Corporation, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, Flume, Smart Water Energy. Our silver sponsors, NV5 Geospatial, powered by Quantum Spatial, Paymentus, Best and Krieger, Fauble Public Affairs, and our bronze sponsors, Clear, Ratio, the Monaco Group, Aqua Oso, Alameda County Water District, and Valley Water. We could not have had this without your support, and we are very, very grateful for it. So when we started planning this conference, what was it? Months and months ago, we really had a hard time deciding if we wanted to be virtual or if we wanted to be in person. And I'm really grateful that we were able to do this virtually, both because of the COVID situation evolving as it is right now, but even more so by staying virtual, we've been able to bring together a conference with no geographic limitations. So you're going to get to hear from people literally all over the world today. And I think that there's so much value in that, and we wouldn't have been able to do it had we not stuck with this platform. I started working in water about 15 years ago. And when I think of how far we've come in the data space, it's really amazing to me. I can remember back when, we were convincing people that they did in fact need mobile phones. And we really should put some data and information up on our website. And I think many of us probably remember conversations when we were told that we shouldn't try to share data. I distinctly remember at one point, hearing a phrase of the attitude that if you share it, they will regulate it, so we don't share it. But in those same conversations, being told that nobody in Sacramento ever uses science to make decisions. So certainly there was some irony there, and I think we've come a long way from those conversations. I'm not here, of course, to advocate that we change the way we operate as water agencies or for the immediate disclosure of every data point that you've ever collected, but I am here to celebrate the wins that data has given us. We've made a great deal of progress individually, as agencies, and as an industry by organizing information in more useful ways. And I hope that today we all get to see some of that data at work, and we do so in the spirit of celebrating our own innovation. I know that at this conference, many of us are at different stages as far as being in the data space. We have agencies who have data scientists on staff who are doing incredible work in advancing information capabilities for themselves and the water industry in general. And we have agencies who are maybe just on here trying to find an easier way to submit their electronic annual report. But either way, you're in the right place. We have a great program for you today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have networking, we're going to learn, and it's just going to bring a lot of value. So thank you for being here. The theme of this conference is expecting the unexpected. And I think the way that we do that is by combining two really important things, data and storytelling. So for those who don't know me, as June mentioned, I'm the Director of Communications and Conservation at Coachella Valley Water District. And in my job, I am therefore mixing data and storytelling. As a communications professional, this concept really speaks to me because I can't tell a good story if I don't have the data to back it up. And data doesn't do us any good if we can't communicate what it means to others. So the marriage of these two topics makes sense, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of those in action today. We're excited to bring you our storyteller session. For many of us, storytelling is a skill that we're still learning, and for some of us, it's a skill we will always be learning. Through both our panel discussion at 10:15 and our storytellers throughout the day, we're going to learn more about storytelling as a skill and see some storytelling at work. We're going to have a chance to share with you more about the California Data Collaborative. We want to update you on some of the exciting work we've been doing. We'll look at emerging technologies and how they're being put into practice at actual water agencies during our high-frequency meter data panel. Of course, we're going to touch on the topic that's on everyone's mind right now, which is drought, but we're going to do it by taking a hard look at what drought means and how we measure it. We're also going to get to hear from the California Data Consortium about the work that they're doing to advance open data. And we have some outstanding keynote speakers for you today. This afternoon, we'll get to hear from Wade Crowfoot, California Secretary of Natural Resources, and Michael Rosenberg-Peterson, Senior Technical Advisor for Water Distribution at the Danish Consulate General. Okay, so that being said, I guess we will jump to the next part of our presentation. I did want to just mention that, this is Christopher Tall. He's our project manager for the California Data Collaborative. I have been the steering committee chair since January, and I am continually impressed with the work that Chris and his team are doing for all of us members and for many others around the state. So this will be an opportunity for Chris to fill us in on some of that work. So I will hand it over. Thank you, Chris.
For sure. Awesome. Well, yes, as Katie said, I am not Joy Bonaguro, unfortunately. But it is, I would like to welcome you here. I know you've gotten several welcomes already, but I'm just tremendously excited for today. This is my 6th Water Data Summit, and it's been great to see the evolution and really, the growth of this event over the years. So, the reason I'm here to talk today is both about, a little bit of background on the CADC for the folks who aren't as familiar with sort of what it is we do on the ground, but also really to talk about how, connect the work that we do at the CADC with the theme of this year's conference, which, as you've heard, is expecting the unexpected. So, I'm going to share some slides just because I'm a very visual sort of guy, and so I like having visuals. I think that they help me learn, so I hope they help you as well. Really, I think that's one of the ways that I like to think of the CADC is as a sort of a vessel, if you forgive the pun, to help agencies navigate the unexpected. And going back, I think, and June I think has discussed this a little bit as well. Oftentimes when something, say, maybe pick your favorite unexpected event, or maybe it's your least favorite unexpected event. It could be some sort of natural disaster, or a pandemic, or it could be a drought that maybe is not really totally unexpected, or it could be some legislation that you didn't expect to pass, or you didn't expect to, a bill that you didn't expect to be to hit the floor. And one of the first things that people do often in these situations to respond is to start gathering information. And oftentimes that means looking for data and dredging data up from wherever it lives. It may live across 10 different organizations. They may live on somebody's hard drive somewhere, and if it exists at all. And so I want to talk a little bit about today about I think that the founding members of the CADC really had a lot of foresight, because they they sort of took the risk to invest in both the organization. I'll say that the people platform, as it were, and also the data platform that would make it a lot easier to, when these unexpected events occur, to be able to get at the information and data that you need promptly and accurately. So, stepping back here to the sort of June, right? So June gave some great background on the CADC, introduced it beautifully, better than I could. So I'll just say that the CADC was formed in 2016 as a nonprofit coalition of water agencies. That, as June said, that masks over so much history and, detail. But, I'm here to get into the nitty gritty and say that, really that means that we have a team of data scientists, design experts, and, we're governed by this steering committee of water managers. And I think you can see our current members down there along the bottom. And for reference, yes, I did have to sort of squeeze a little bit to get all those logos in there, partly because we've been growing recently. And if you would like to see your logo squeezed in there next to the others, send me an email or give me a call. We can talk. But beyond, this is sort of who we are, but our goal is really to empower water suppliers with community and data science. So to reduce uncertainty when it really matters, when it's absolutely critical to the mission of your organization and to the water supply of our state, and reduce that uncertainty, allowing you to make more confident water management decisions. And so the CDC has a few pieces. We have this community of practice of all of our members. We have data scientists, software developers. We have a data platform. We build data analysis and tools, and we support research for data sharing. And so I've gone ahead and diagrammed that out a little bit, again, because as I said, I'm a very visual sort of guy, and I think it helps convey. And if you look at this diagram, down at the bottom there is really the foundation of the CDC, and that's our members. So that's really, without them, none of this, anything that we do would happen. We, not only do they provide the raw data that goes into a lot of the other work we do, they provide the direction to the organization, and they lend their water management expertise. They provide their time to make things happen, like this event, which would not be possible without all of them. They provide governance to really oversee, the funds and the data that we maintain. And on top of, they feed that all and work with the CDC staff. CDC staff maintain the data platform. We pull in data from all of our agencies. Usually it's things like metered water use data, how much water are individual households using, rebate participation data. We pull that all in, and we can do, my goal with this is to show there's so many co-benefits of having this people platform and this data platform in place. I'll talk about a few of them today. One of them being software and tools, research and data sharing, and this sort of and data analysis. So I'll start with software and tools, because I think from the beginning of the CDC, we started in the middle of a drought, the last drought, and there was a lot of focus from folks on water efficiency, how much water are we using. And so from almost day one, we were building dashboards for agencies to look at their data. We were conducting studies to look at the water savings of rebates. And over the years, all of that has really just built on itself to nowadays. The sort of modern incarnation of that is what we call CADC Analytics. It's a modern browser-based piece of software that our members, all of our members who join, can access. They load in their data, and you can do things like segment your data by water use, efficiency, look at income, look at the income, segment your customers by income in order to design targeted programs. You can drill down into individual customers, look at the water savings, at sort of measured water savings or estimated water savings from your different rebate programs. And all of this is built on a database of the data that we gather from agencies. And this is just one of the benefits, right? When you have the data, you have that data platform that I showed in the diagram. You can also do other things like share the data for research. So over the years, we've had the honor really to work with very talented, very smart folks from top tier universities across the country. Whether that's the Stanford Business School, looking at the effect of different types of messaging on water use, different types of conservation messaging, or whether it's Penn State looking at the water sort of water demand impacts of switching from unmetered billing to metered billing, or Georgia Tech, investigating the equity impacts of water budget-based rates. There's all this great research that's really advancing the state of knowledge in the industry, and we've been able to contribute to all that by really lowering the time it takes them to get access to data, to connect with agencies, and build those relationships. And again, it's that this is really core to part of our vision, but it's only one of the things that we do. Or sorry, one of the things that is enabled by all of this data. And I think the third thing that I'm going to talk about here, data analysis, is almost sort of my catch-all. It's over the 5.5 years that we've been around, there's inevitably sort of the what's the flavor, what's the question of the day, right? The issue that's needs to be answered by the end of the summer, or the issue that needs to be answered by next week. So at the beginning of the collaborative, you can see this chart up here in the top right. That question was really, what we chose to look at was really, water savings of turf removal rebates. So it was the drought, the height of the drought. A lot of agencies had, just invested and were continuing to invest millions of dollars in replacing grass with less water-intensive landscaping. And there was, at the time, it was still a bit of an open question: how much water does that actually save? At the time, there were only a couple studies that had been done, and so we wanted to throw our hat in the ring, estimate how much water is being saved by turf removal, and so we were able to publish to do that using the data provided by our agencies. We were able to make it very applicable to them because it was using their data. It wasn't a study done in Nevada. It wasn't a study done in Georgia. It was a study done with data and participants in California. More recently, on the left-hand side here, you can see just an example of an analysis that we've done to sort of more, some recent water efficiency legislation from the state. So the state of California, back in January, started providing landscape area measurement data to agencies and asking them to quality control that data and review it. The form that it took was really basically a zip file with a bunch of shape files inside of it, spatial files, and an email that said, hey, could you check this out? Let us know. So a lot of folks, didn't really know what to look for. They had this data that was, critical to their bottom line, and to, whether they were going to be able to meet this water efficiency objective in the future, but they didn't really know what to look for. They didn't have many folks didn't have the technical staff on hand to, assess this spatial data files and quality control them. So, starting with CADC members and, going forward, and then eventually expanding to other agencies across the state, we were able to, develop this very streamlined service that we could offer to, going from raw data to polished deliverable in a couple days. And all of this was, initially made possible because we had the data on hand from the CADC members. We had the agreements in place for non-disclosure. We had the people, we had the trust, we had the data, and so it was really just a question of, let's do it. What should we look at? And so we started developing it. And so, I think I'm coming up on my time here, but the one thing I want to leave you with is really this idea of the CADC as a platform, as a vessel, as an organization that can help folks, sort of, by investing in having your data clean, having your data prepared, providing the data, all of these other benefits become unlocked, and you're ready for the unexpected. So with that, I'm gonna probably turn things back over to Katie.
Yeah, Chris is also, as June mentioned, one of those humble people. Chris is a brilliant data scientist who does amazing work for all of us. And I will say that while Coachella Valley Water District has benefited from much of the work that the CADC has done, probably the most important in my personal view right now has been the analysis of that landscape area measurement data. I know many of us around the state are really diving into what's going to happen with these long-term conservation regulations, and having the ability to analyze that quickly because the CADC already has our data ready to go has been really important to us. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for all the work you do. Thanks for all the work you did for today. And for those of you who are members, I hope you just heard all that and we're very proud. And for those of you who are not members, I hope that you thought to yourself, why not? And if that's the case, make sure you reach out to Chris and I, and we'll schedule a meeting to talk to you about membership and what it means.